Welcome to Giant Radio, where we're all about big ideas in sales and marketing and eye-popping discussions with successful entrepreneurs. Turn up the volume and settle in. Now, here's the founder of Giant Jacks Media and your host, Paul Hitchcock.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for jumping here on Giant TV. I'm Paul Hitchcock, the founder and president of Giant Jacks Media. We help others to grow, and this channel is devoted to having dynamic leaders on here doing great things, and certainly Margaret Morrison is one of them. Welcome, Margaret.
Hi, Paul. Nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And you have an incredible background, which I want to hear about, and you're focused on working with leaders who are growing their businesses. You're based out of New York, but let's first hear about your background. Like, how did you start in the industry and get into this?
Sure. And again, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So, Paul, have you ever run into problems that you don't know what to do with?
Oh, yeah, every day.
Yeah. Well, so in 2000, I was tasked with scaling a $280 million successful business without a roadmap or a mentor. And over the next 18 years, I transformed it into a $5 billion industry.
Yeah,
But along
huge.
the way, yeah, it was huge. It was exciting, but it also wasn't a straight path going forward. We had to navigate the financial crisis in 2008.
Mhm.
And, a lot of our clients, they were just shutting down overnight, and there was a lot of uncertainty, probably similar to what people felt during COVID. No
Yeah.
playbook, no, precedent, really. What do you do? And for me, there are a lot of sleepless nights and countless pivots, really trying to figure out how can we help our clients during this time, and how do we also stay focused on moving our business forward. But what really stayed with me is, if only I had someone to lean on, if only there was a playbook. And that realization really became my passion. Today, I'm really focused in two areas in helping leaders with their growth journey. As a Pinnacle guide, I coach growth-minded leaders to scale faster and smarter. I know firsthand that growth is not the goal. It's really about the outcome of vision, of executing effectively, taking action, and really creating habits that is going to help you scale forward. And the Pinnacle framework really provides a 100% solution with best-in-class tools, helping leaders 10x their profit, maximize enterprise value, and really address the chaos and complexity that can come with scaling. So that's one of the ways that I'm working with leaders. And then the other way, which I love, is my CEO peer advisory board in partnership with Vistage. I have 19 CEOs and business owners and presidents of companies that vary from 5 to 400 million in revenue. And we come together once a month to really help each other become better leaders, drive better results, and make better decisions. And it's really fun. I've seen tons of aha moments. And I've seen these leaders change in terms of their own leadership style and see their businesses really propel forward. So that's
I love
how
it.
I got here. And it's really fun. It's fun to be part of it. And I've built some really wonderful relationships along the way.
Yeah, you and I have gotten a chance to know each other over time. I love it. I want to just clarify and kind of flesh some things out on the Pinnacle side. Tell me about Pinnacle. Who are you working with Pinnacle? Who's the best match for you there? And then how does that actually execute? What are you doing with them?
Yeah. Well, thank you for asking that question. So, I'm not sure if you're familiar with business operating models or business processes. There's a saying that we all have business processes, and it's as good
Yeah,
as where you are today.
yeah,
So a lot of times people feel stuck, and in order to move forward, you need to change some things. You need to, change some of the activities you're doing, some of the processes, and that's really what these business process frameworks are all about. In 2020, I became a scaling up coach, which I still am today. But last year, I learned about Pinnacle business guides. And what I really love about Pinnacle, and where I think it makes a real difference, is you don't have to decide on a business model. And they all have their strengths but
Yep.
they're not strong in everything. And instead, what a company or a leader is doing is they're picking their guide, like myself, to come and guide them through their journey. And I have access to 100% solution with best practice tools. So I'm not stuck with just scaling up or EOS or another operating model, all good.
Yep.
Instead, I can go across. So I have a foundational process, but then I'm adaptable based on what's important to my client. And the second part of your question is, I'm focused on two areas. One is I'm actually in the process of putting a cohort together for some smaller companies who may not at this time be able to do a full implementation. And it's a 12-month series Zoom cohort with, with 5 or 7 other businesses. And I'll be sharing each week or each month, different tools, different processes, and it's opportunity to share best practices as well. So they'll walk away with 18 to 20 tools in our toolbox and some real solid things for them to do. But otherwise, I work one-to-one with business owners or business leaders and their leadership team to do a full implementation, really working side by side and helping them build that muscle in some of their processes so they can, quickly accelerate their growth journey.
Margaret, are these companies that have reached a certain level, they have a lot of success, and they're trying to get to that next level, or are there other problems you see where they're kind of teetering? These all. So yeah, what's going on there?
Yeah, so it's kind of yes and yes.
Okay, both.
What it's not really for, really what I'm not focusing on is startup, because the startup process is very different than when you want to scale up. So this is really scaling, and all companies, regardless of size, if you want to scale, you may have to focus on your processes, your people, your performance. It just depends where you are in it. So it could be someone who wants to scale and they're stuck. It could be someone who's scaling but wants to even accelerate more quickly. So it's really just how do you continue to move forward and accelerate as quickly as you can? And do you have the right processes to help you get there? Processes and habits and things like that.
Love it. And then the cohort that you're putting together. So are those, how many people are going to be in that cohort, and are they non-competing?
Yeah, it's definitely non-competing. I'm looking for 5, 6 different companies, and I would suggest that it should be the owner and their number 2 being on the call.
Yeah.
So it would be 2 from each company. So there'd be somewhere between 10 and 14, 15 people.
Yeah. Meeting monthly, collaborating, you getting in there, interjecting your expertise. Sounds like a awesome.
Yeah, and interesting, and they'll walk away with some great tools. I will also have some office hours, so if there's some questions, it's not the same as personal implementation, which I strongly recommend. That would be my first choice, but not everyone could afford that or is ready for it. And though both of those things are important, you've got to have the right mindset, and you have to be committed, to moving forward with the process, to implementing and making some of those things a real habit.
Yep. And then you've got the Vistage practice, which bigger companies. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So my group, as I mentioned before, it's probably between 4 and 400 million. As I mentioned, I have 19 leaders right now. We come together once a month for a full day. And, typically what I would say the day in the life of a Vistage member is, 8 times a year, I bring in a speaker for half a day. And these are phenomenal speakers. I have access to 1,000 of them. We had someone actually in February who came to talk about how to maximize profitability through strategic pricing. It was a great session, and they walked away with some really strategic tools and ideas. As one of my newer members said, boy, that session was worth, a membership for the next few years. So some really great takeaways. And then the afternoon or the the part that's the executive session, we really focus on talking about issues and challenges and opportunities of our members. Last month, I had a full day executive session, and I shared with them some strategy tools. So we did a little workshop on that, and then continued with the executive session for the rest of the time. So it's really powerful. What I love and think is really important, Paul, most people have some kind of peer group, and typically it's in their industry.
Yeah.
And which is great, and you need to have that. But a lot of times there's groupthink. Oh, this is the way we've always done it. What the beauty of Vistage is, you are sitting with a group of non-competing other leaders from different industries, different sectors, and that's where there's a lot of ahas. There's a lot of great nuggets of information. Everyone's got similar issues, but how they're dealing with it could be pretty different. And that's what's so great, is how do you get some of those best practices, which is really going to come from places that you may not expect.
Do those members of yours, do they interact with each other outside of the monthly meeting? Are they helping each other on the businesses and so forth? Has that been a big part of it?
Yeah, it's such a great question. One of the things I did on my first day of the group 2.5 years ago, I painted a vision what success to me looks like in 18 months. And one of them was you come into the meeting and people are hugging each other. There's a lot of noise because they're excited to see each other. I've got to kind of corral everyone, and that they are talking outside of the meeting. And that's exactly what's happening. They're helping each other. Last month, one of my members is looking to do an exit this year, and shared his pitch deck, his presentation, and one of the other members says, "Oh, I'd love to know." He was talking about how he compensates and motivates his leaders who need to stay. And I know they've communicated outside after that. So there's a lot of things like that going on, which is really, to me, what that future state was that I was looking for. To me, that's success. This is their own personal board of directors. It's not just about coming together. It's about lifelong relationships and people who could really help each other.
Oh, that's awesome. And your role in that is, I mean, in those monthly meetings, you're letting people be interactive. You're processing issues. So people are, doors closed. What you've told me is people are letting it loose and telling about their issues, challenges, problems, and things are getting solved. Is that a fair description of what's going on?
It is. It's a safe place to be vulnerable. You're not, there's no hidden agenda. We're all there to help each other be more successful. And we talk about personal issues. We've had tears absolutely along the way. There's things that everyone's dealing with, and sometimes what you see is there's a lot behind that. Someone's life may seem perfect and it's not, and it's a place where you could really talk and feel supported and not be afraid. And my role, as I've said to the group, this is their meeting. I'm here to facilitate that. So I want to make sure it works for them. I do have one-on-one coaching with them every month, really focusing on their agenda and the topics they want to talk about. But yeah, it's meant to be a safe environment. And I always said that if we're not talking about your issue and you're sitting back and you're about to walk out and say, "Oh, I would have done that differently," shame on you. You, as a member of this group, needs to bring those things up. Hey, have you thought about this? Or, I think maybe you may be the problem. You may be the constraint or the, the choke point in the bottle. So it's really an opportunity to give each other, we talk at, what's the word? Confrontational? No, what's the word? It's
Carefrontational.
Carefrontational. Thank you. You know better than I do.
I've heard you say it before.
How do you make sure that you're talking about stuff that may be hard, but you're doing it in a passionate and compassionate way?
Yeah. So as we hit the time limit here, I want to ask you, who are you looking for specifically? I mean, the cohort, it can you're all over the country with people that can participate in that because it's based online. And then Vistage is in your particular area. Who are you looking for at the moment?
So for Vistage, again, because our meetings are in person, I'm really looking from a New York side for the tri-state area. So any place that's commutable.
Yeah.
I do have a member who actually is down south out of the country, but his business is really here and he travels in. But I'm looking for people to show up in person. So it's typically from the tri-state commutable to Manhattan, and that's typically where our meetings are. That's for Vistage. For the cohort, as you mentioned, it could be across the United States because it is Zoom, and those are going to be companies, I'm going to say, that are more a few million to 8. But I would say even in that range, we're doing full implementations. And for full implementations right now, in terms of being a Pinnacle guide and helping them with their business framework in terms of growing, I'm looking for those members for full implementations that are also in a commutable tri-state area right now.
Yep.
But
and I want to, Yep. And I want to tell everybody that's listening, wherever you're watching this episode, because it's gonna multicast everywhere. Margaret's information will be around it, either up here or down here, to get connected. And yeah, highly recommend you follow Margaret. She's got a lot going on. Margaret, thank you. This is great stuff.
And Paul, thank you. You run a wonderful business, and I feel very fortunate to be one of your clients. You do great things and helping me be more successful in my business. So thank you for this opportunity. And hopefully we could talk to some people and help them grow faster than they ever imagined. So
oh, well, you're
thanks
very
a lot.
kind. Yeah, and I got to tell everyone that was unscripted. I didn't tell Margaret
That
to say
wasn't
that. All
scripted.
right?
It's from the
Thank you,
heart.
Margaret.
I mean that. Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.